Welcome back, Warriors. Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2. And I'm going to move my thing over a little bit so I can see it better. So we're going to do one more while I'm driving here. I'm trying to catch up a little bit on a few of these ideas that you guys have sent to me. So today we're going to focus on a topic called the sexy listener. The sexy listener. So let me kind of talk a little bit about this in terms of the communication research and things that I found, plus combining that with retention and the journey and kind of focusing on this. Now, this is especially for those of you interested in really building your communication relationships with people and building relationships with other people. So if you're interested in doing that, that's great. And obviously when it comes to success, those things are crucial. Just not only with attraction to males and females, but also attraction when it comes to business opportunities and different things that can help you become more successful and prosperous. All right, so the sexy listener. Now, why do we call this the sexy listener? Oh, but first, before I do that, subscribe, like, and comment. As always, I enjoy those, and I appreciate everything you guys do. So, the sexy listener. So Epictetus, I love my person Epictetus here, and Plato, and a lot of those philosophers that we take quotes from, Stoicism. And the quote he talks about that we use a lot is that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you should be listening twice as much as you speak. Now, this is a very attractive ability, but in our society, especially in the Western society, we tend to do the opposite. We think that by talking more, by rattling the drum more, we get more attention. And yes, you will get attention, but you'll get less respect. And the person who listens does a lot of great things here. So let's kind of go through a lot of these things. And certainly when you're on retention in your journey, you are a lot more confident. So you don't have the need to go ahead and talk, interrupt people and talk and fight with people and all those type of things that you might normally do if you weren't on your journey. And so your ability to listen to what people are saying to you, to be able to kind of really hear them and not just let it go through one ear and out the other is very, very important. So the person who is very good at listening, and I call this active listening, a person who actually is acting and giving feedback, things like these type of things, compared to the opposite, which is called passive listening. Active listener is a person who looks you straight in the eye, and not staring, but straight in the eye, and is able to really understand what you're saying, give you feedback, and listen. That takes a lot of energy. But that person who can do that becomes very valuable for lots of reasons. One, they're getting pertinent information about the other person. And whether it's the world of business and clubs or any order like attraction, dating type of situation, you have those types of that information that's very valuable when it talks about communicating with people. The second reason is that you're validating the person. You're making the person feel like they're the most important person in the room. And that's a key type of thing, guys. Whenever you're with somebody, you have to make them feel like they're the most important person in the world. Now, by doing that, you don't have to actually say anything. Most of the time, you can actually listen to that person. And most people because they like to talk about themselves, that's their favorite subject, right? They're going to talk about themselves a lot. And they're going to go ahead and say, a lot of things that are going to give you more information and help you understand more about them. And this is very important when it comes to business relationships, especially as you're trying to kind of secure the deal, you're trying to kind of work with people, sell something to somebody, and the more you understand about that person, the more you can sell to that person. And that's not only business, but also the dating situation, or if you're trying to find somebody, those type of things also are very valuable. So it's important to get more information, 1, 2, to go ahead and validate the person, and 3, if you're the last person that talks and you listen well, now you can make an educated opinion, okay? This is important. A lot of times when you're in group situations and you're trying to kind of go through different types of things, you're trying to understand how to solve a problem with a group. Well, if everybody else talks, now you've listened to them, you've heard what they said, and now you can go ahead and answer in a competent way And most of the time, if you're the last person that actually talks, people will gravitate towards you. They're going to remember the last person to talk, and you may have the biggest influence of all. So listening is something we don't do well. And I can tell you for sure it's taken me a long time to actually understand this better. I'm doing better with this. But one of the reasons why we don't listen is because of two things, actually. One reason is because we're insecure. A lot of us are very insecure, and we want to talk and get our opinion out there. So instead of really paying attention to what the person's saying, we just go ahead and ignore that, and we got to get ourselves out there. The second one is, I think, the biggest issue of all, and that's egos. People a lot of times don't listen because they don't want to be wrong. They don't want to appear to be wrong, perceived to be wrong. And guys, this is one of the biggest issues there are like that, focusing on the idea that you don't want to, be wrong. I almost had an accident there because one person didn't listen to the other person. See? What happens, guys, even driving, this happens, right? People are driving, they don't really pay attention to each other, and there's that four-way stop, and boom. I almost had an accident sitting right in front of me here. But that's because people don't listen to each other. And once again, if you find somebody who does listen, that's kind of one of those gems that you have that's hard, gems in a rough there. It's hard to find that type of person. It's hard to kind of focus on finding that person that's going to be rare. So most people you're going to focus on are not going to have the confidence to be able to listen to you. They're not going to have the confidence to be able to kind of have a conversation without interrupting you. All those type of things happen because of an insecurity the person has about themselves. They don't want to be wrong. And then on top of that, the ego is so strong that it kind of reinforces this idea that I don't really need to listen to you. And so most people, when they have conversations, gang, they're talking to themselves. I remember this one time I was with my uncle in the back seat, and my daughter was 4 or 5 years old in the back seat of the car, and we're sitting there talking, and she's saying something, and I heard her, but I was talking to my uncle for a second, and then all of a sudden, it blurts out, he says, "Oh man, I'm just talking to myself," and I was just cracking up. But she was exactly right, because most of us just talk to ourselves, right? We're just focusing on ourselves. That's what we're doing. And a lot of times we don't really pay attention to the other person that is with us, because what's happening is that we're so engulfed and wrapped into our own thoughts that we don't think about what the other person is saying. So if you become that type of person, your success with other people are going to go up immensely. Now, how does this impact what we're talking about with our journey? Well, of course, on your journey, you're going to go in situations where you're going to try to be successful. The whole reason you're going on this journey, as far as I'm concerned, was that I wanted to become the best version of myself I could become. And our whole channel is dedicated to becoming the best version you can be. So when it comes to this idea that the journey is going to help you with retention, it's going to give you the ability to focus more, to be able to, keep your energy, work harder, all this type of things. A big part of that is learning how to communicate. That's why we talk about those C's, the C model. Your confidence comes from your control, and it leads to your communication, right? And part of the communication then is the ability to listen, to be able to say, okay, I'm not going to say something right now. I'm going to let this person talk, and I'm going to be able to kind of respond back to when they talk. So this is an art, guys. This is not something that's easy to do either. Just like the retention itself, it's not easy to do, but it's something that's very valuable, especially if you're a person who's out there trying to make connections, trying to networking, not only for your business, but if you're trying to network to have relationships and find males, and if you're female, trying to find if you're a male, trying to find females, if you're a female, trying to find males. Those type of things are really important. And I know this because I remember talking to a lot of women in my class over the years, and my daughters, and telling me that if they're nervous about something, the best way to overcome the nervousness when you're talking to somebody is to get that other person to talk about themselves. And so women are very good at this. Women will initiate conversations because they know that guys like to talk about themselves a lot, as we all do, really. I don't think it's a male-female thing. I think it's just we like to talk. And the idea then is that you're listening to get information, you're listening to be able to kind of figure out what the person's saying, but also to validate them. Because now for the first time, here's a person who's actually listening to what you have to say. And that doesn't happen a lot in our day-to-day basis, because many people are not really listening. They're just going around doing their own thing, and they're not really caring a lot of what you're saying. So that's why I say that this art of listening is really important, and you can become a very influential person, a seductive person, when it comes to listening, because if you listen well, now this person really feels like you care about them, and now you can have an influence with them. And once again, just like the old Spider-Man quote, right? With great power comes great responsibility. If you get this, you got your energy, your retention, you're on your journey, you learn these communication skills, and now you have lots of people who are interested in interacting with you. But you have to also be aware, with that comes a lot of responsibility to be the best person you can be, and to treat those people well enough to be able to do that. Okay? All right, so once again, comment, like, subscribe if you have any questions. I'm happy to do more stuff off of this topic, but I'll leave it right now at this point. So until next time, Warriors 1% Club, battle on.